Revelation 1735. From the 11th of December 1940. Love. Wisdom. Knowledge. What appears incomprehensible to the human being, he would certainly be able to grasp in the light of the spiritual, and it is also only possible to give him clarity on the path of the spiritual, for his train of thought can only then be directed in such a way that one thing after another becomes comprehensible to him, that he can now take an affirmative attitude towards what he previously considered unacceptable. The basic idea of all being is love. From love everything has come into being, through love everything is enlivened, and love is the key to the knowledge of all that is. Love is the gateway to eternity, just as love was the exit. Everything arose from love, and everything that separated itself from eternal love shall become love again. And if the human being wants to attain knowledge, if he wants to know the truth, if he wants to find the solution to every problem which touches divine things, spiritual questions or creation, then he must inevitably first shape himself into love. Only then can he attain knowledge. The knowledge of truth depends on the human being's degree of love. And if every truth would be presented to the human being, if he would be given information about everything he desires to know, and he would not have love, then he would understand nothing of it, he would deny everything, he would reject it as greatest error, for he cannot understand because the light of realization is not kindled in him, which again only love achieves. Therefore, this little flame which glows in him under rubble and ashes must first be nourished. The human being must be willing to serve with love. There is no other way to penetrate the eternal truth, and the truth-desiring human being must therefore practice love at the same time in order to be able to receive it. Love, however, is something spiritual. It expresses itself in the life of feeling, it comes from the spiritual kingdom, just as it also leads back into the spiritual kingdom. As soon as the human being combines this spiritual with earthly activity, thus expresses his feelings in such a way that he carries out an activity which is earthly recognizable, he receives something spiritual again, namely, the activity of love of the beings in the beyond expresses itself. The human being is introduced to the knowledge of divine wisdom. He may now walk in the light. Love has to express itself first before a spiritual connection can be established, because a person who lacks love will not hear the softly spoken inner word either. People without love are worldly minded, they have no desire to experience what the world outside of earth is like because they simply reject it. Nor do they want to know anything about a continuation of life in the spiritual kingdom because their love is wrong and only applies to themselves and their increased well-being on earth. If this is presented to them as worthless in any way, it affects their self-love, which they nevertheless do not want to give up, and therefore they reject everything which could point to a life outside of earthly life. Love for God and their fellow human being will always illuminate the spiritual state, but self-love will extinguish every light which wants to shine in spiritual night. The human being's power of realization will be correspondingly, for anyone who is lovingly active will receive the truth and with it the strength to recognize it as truth. For the others, however, everything will remain incomprehensible, and no matter how clearly it is offered to them they will not grasp it. In order to increase his knowledge, the human being has to make use of the love of the spiritual beings who are willing to distribute truth to those who are lovingly active like them. For everything that is in love seeks to unite, consequently the human being has to increase in knowledge if he also makes an effort not to slacken in his activity of love. The gates of heaven will open to him and he will be taught all wisdom according to God's will, who wants to spread the truth on earth and therefore blesses the connections from the beyond to earth. Amen.